Vokera combi boiler service. My name's Hart and today I'm working in Sherburn in Elmet. I'm doing a boiler service. I've come to check a boiler on this Vokera. This is actually my new house, my home where I'm living, and the person that's selling the property said to me, we've had a new boiler, and they were really excited to tell us they've had this new boiler fitted. The first thing I've noticed is the flue's not even on correctly. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to go through this boiler, check it all out, go through what a service would be. We'll have a look at the installation instructions. Yeah, let's get on with it. When you're doing a boiler service, one of the things you want to check when you first get there is that it's installed correctly. What you've got to remember is, once you start working on this boiler, you're going to be liable for anything that you've left. So in particular, on this one, obviously the first thing I've noticed is the flue. And if we have a look in the installation instructions on page 13, it actually tells us that this flue should have a clamp on here to hold the flue on. So we know straight away that this boiler is a dangerous boiler. There's no question about it. What we'll do now, if you're going to work on a boiler, obviously you need to do your electrical checks. So we'll turn the spur off, and then first thing we'll do, we'll check the fuse. Now in this particular boiler, it should be a 3 amp fuse, and as we can see there, it's actually a 13 amp fuse, so we're going to need to change that. So I normally would have a little bag with a few fuses in, so that when you go to a boiler you can change the fuse. And then we can do the rest of our electrical checks to TB118, and we have done videos on that. I did a video with Socket and C. I've also done a few videos with Viva Training Academy as well on your TB118. So before we remove the case, as I say, we do the electrical checks. So TB118, I know I keep saying about TB118, but if I get that into people, then people will start searching for it and see what it is. So if you're going to use any testing equipment, what we need to do, make sure your testing equipment is working. So what we're doing is we're testing the case, make sure it's not live before we work on it. We're also checking any copper pipes or all like that that's near the boiler, and all that you're going to touch really, and then we would test the volt stick again. And then obviously we're going to remove the case and we'll do those full electrical checks. But before we do that, I'm just going to go around the rest of the boiler. Obviously we've got a dodgy flue on this, and if you don't mind, if you could just put a comment below, let me know what you would class this as. That'd be really interesting to see what you would class this as with this flue without the correct clamp on there. What would you do? Would you redo the job? Would you report it? Would you put it as at risk? Would you put it as ID? What would you do about it? Also, the flue's not sealed here. I'm going to have a look at the condensate as well. So if we have a look at the condensate pipe here, it comes down here. There's no clips on the condensate. It goes straight outside. And as we can see outside here, it just goes down to a soak away. If we have a look in the installation instructions on page 15, it tells you about the condensate pipe. They're not the best instructions in the world, to be honest. It says that the condensate pipe should be insulated. So again, that's not installed correctly either. And if you have a look on Gas Safe website, there's a technical bulletin. It's TB155, and that's to do with condensates and condensates freezing. So it is worth checking that out. So if you're a gas engineer, or even if you're a trainee, check that out and just make sure that you're installing condensates correctly. Then if we have a look down at the filling loop here, we've got the filling loop. This is the cold mains here. It's got a push fit connection on here. Again, this isn't correct. We should have a non-return valve on this code as well to stop any back flow into the cold mains. And then we have a look round here and we can see the non-return valves actually being put on the central heating side. So just something for you to know. It does actually show you that in the installation instructions as well. So I'm just going to remove the case on this now, and as I said, we've done as electrical checks. Always read the installation instructions to make sure you're doing the job correctly. Another thing to point out with this, there's no boiler plus controls. In fact, there's no controls at all. We've just got a built-in timer, so obviously that wouldn't comply. There's no thermostat in the house, so obviously that's not very energy efficient. They've installed a condensing boiler, one of the latest condensing boilers, and it's not installed correctly, so it's not going to be doing its job, what it should be doing. Just going to take the screws out. If you have a look on the case here, we can see this case has been butchered again, so it's not very good. I'll just take the screw out on this side. And we'd normally have another screw on that other side as well. And then this just lifts down. We can just unclip this off, just so it don't get damaged as well. Well, when we have a look at this, it's not even got no screws in. This should have some screws in the case here, and they're not in either. Once we remove the case or the front cover on this, there's just a little screw here. Just drop that on the floor. Just pull that flap down there. If we have a look here as well, we can see the screws missing here. So this has been butchered a little bit. Bearing in mind this boiler's 1 year old. This is in a bit of a state, to be honest. So if we have a quick look inside, bearing in mind this is a budget boiler, this is probably the cheapest boiler on the market, but it's got a Grundfos pump, which is a 1560 pump, which will work for a normal size house, 3-bedroom semi. We've got an 8-litre expansion vessel, so again, as long as it's charged up correctly, that should be fine. We've got his gas valve, we've got his condensate trap there, and we've got his diverter valve here. We've got his plate heat exchanger at the back. Now we've got his main heat exchanger inside this combustion cover, which will open shortly. First of all, what we'd do, if we're going to do a service, we need to have a look at the installation instructions or the servicing instructions and see what the manufacturers require for a service. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to have a quick read of this and we'll see what they ask for on a service. So I've read the instructions now, and one thing to point out in the instructions, it says that the boiler needs to be installed correctly and serviced and maintained correctly for the warranty. Now personally, I don't think this boiler's been installed very well. I don't think it should be covered under warranty, but let me know what you think below. Should badly installed boilers still be covered under manufacturer's warranty? Yeah, let me know what you think. So what we'll do now, we'll do a service on it. Before I put it into service mode and put it on high and low, what I'm going to do the expansion vessel. So we'll pump the expansion vessel up, and then while we're draining that down, I'll also test the water with the AD Pro check. So to pump the expansion vessel up, what I'm going to do, I'm going to close the flow and return underneath on the valves. This is a new boiler, as I say, it's about 1 year old. So the valve should be okay. You need to be careful with them. If it's high up on a property, then you might just take pressure out and then just top it back up. Obviously this is in a garage, so this is the bottom of the property. So we've got the head of water above. So yeah, so I've isolated the boiler. We've also got a drain off on this boiler. I've got my hose pipe from my Wiesmann boilers. You get this clear hose pipe. So I'm going to connect that onto drain off onto the boiler, and then we can just open that valve. And what that does is it just takes the pressure out of the boiler. To pump the expansion vessel up, you must drain the boiler. You must do that. somebody messaged me the other day saying they want to debate whether or not you have to take the pressure out. Yes, you definitely have to take the pressure out. That's the water sample. The water actually looks quite clean. We will test that. We'll test that with any Pro check and we'll see if it's got any better in there. But as I say, the water actually looks clean. So to pump the pressure up, we've drained the boiler down now. Just going to remove the cap of the Schrader valve. And anybody who's seen my videos before, you'll see that I normally use this pump, but got a bit of a problem with it. It's giving a reading on there, and I can't reset it. Won't reset it, so it's just out slightly. So I've got a new pump for today's video. I've gone back to a manual pump, and this has got an extra long 3 metre hose on it. So we'll have a look at this and see what we think to it, to be honest. Another tip as well, if you have any issues with these Schrader valves, you can get a tool and you can take the Schrader valve out of there. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to take it out and just show you it anyway. So that's the actual valve. Sometimes these pass on a service. Also, if you're ever going to change one of these, if you drain the boiler down, it's a good idea just to take the Schrader valve out, because sometimes you can take that hose off there and that pipe could be blocked and then it'll squirt loads of water out at you. But if you took the pressure out, it'll give you less mess, if you like. So just put this back in and then we'll just pump this up. You can get replacement Schrader valves as well, the bits. So if you do have one that's passing, sometimes you can just change that rather than changing the full expansion vessel itself. So I'm just going to connect the connection for the pump onto expansion vessel, onto Schrader valve, onto expansion vessel, and we're going to pump it up to, what we'd do, we'd have a look on the expansion vessel, and on this one it says pre-charge 1 bar, and also in the installation instructions also says charge to 1 bar. So if we turn this pump on, obviously we've no pressure in this at the moment because we've released it all, and then all we're going to do is just pump this up. We're just going to pump this up to 1 bar, and as we're pumping this up, what's going to happen is water is going to be coming out of this hose pipe, and what that's doing, so what you need to do is pump it up, let it settle a little bit, and then just pump it back up again. And as I say, we want to pump it up to about 1 bar. Normally I do it slightly over, and then as you're taking it off, if it loses a bit, then that should be perfect. So we've got this up to 1 bar now on the pressure. I'm just going to remove the hose. As you've seen, a little bit came out then. So you've got to be a little bit quick with that. Just put the dust cover back on, or the cap on the top. What you can do is you can spray that as well. So you could spray it just to make sure that it's not passing. And then what we're going to do then, just going to close the drain off on the boiler, and then we're going to open the flow return underneath, which are a little bit stiff, and I'm getting weak in my old age. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to repressurise the boiler, and all we're going to do with this one is just open these valves here. I'm going to put it back up to just over 1 bar. So we've repressurised the boiler now. It's up to about 1.5 bar for now. As the boiler comes on, some of the air will come out and that will drop a little bit. The flow return for the central heating, the valves are now open as well. They're in the open position. And just while we've got it like this, before I take power back on, I thought I'd just show you a little, this would be for fault finding really, but I've put the multimeter onto beep, so it beeps, so it's what it's testing for. If you imagine a switch, it's testing that it's joined together, so you're testing for continuity across there. And what I'm going to do is I've opened the hot tap in the house, but I've turned the cold off into the boiler. So what this is checking now is it's checking this switch here. So just thought I'd just show you how it works. So as I said, this is not part of a service, but if we turn the cold on, I don't know if you could hear that beep. And what that's telling us now is this here, this flow switch is working. So if you had a problem where a boiler didn't fire up, then it may be that you could test that flow switch with your multimeter. Really easy to do. And as I say, it's just a switch. All it's doing is, it's just going like that, joining up. And that's what testing for continuity. I hope that helps a little bit. But yeah, let's get back on with service. In the installation instructions or installation and servicing instructions, it says that we must clean the main heat exchanger. So I'm going to do that before we fire the boiler up, because otherwise the heat exchanger will just red hot. So I'm just going to take this front cover off on here. Please remember, if you're going to work on a gas boiler, you must be gas safe registered or competent to do so, or if you're a trainee, you must be supervised. This now is, we're going into the combustion part of the appliance. So the first thing I noticed as soon as I took the combustion cover off is the heat exchanger is actually split. We've got 3 cracks in it here. So that's going to need a new heat exchanger. I was going to strip all this down, but because of that, there's no point. There's no point stripping it down to clean it. What I'll do is when this heat exchanger is replaced, I'll strip it down, maybe do another video and show you what it will like on the inside of that. If you're a trainee, another thing to check, make sure that obviously if you're under supervision, is you'd be checking seals to make sure the seal is all in place. And if we have a look at the bottom of here, we can see it's a bit mucky at the bottom as well. So that's going to need some further work doing on it. What I'm going to do now, I'll put the case back on, I'll put the combustion cover back on. I'm just going to do a few readings with flue gas analyzer. I want to see if it was burning too hot or what's going on. It may be that when it was installed, it wasn't installed correctly. Maybe it wasn't set up correctly. But what we'll do, we'll have a look at that once we put it all back together. So I've put all the boiler back together now. I've set it up so we can do the flue gas analyzer test. I've put it into the flue test point, and I've also connected my manometer U-gauge tube on there as well, so we can get the readings of that at the same time. I'm going to turn the power back on. So I've changed the fuse, we've put a 3 amp fuse in now. And on this particular boiler, it's really simple to put it into service mode. You turn it off on the front display, so it's to the off setting, and then inside the board here, there's a little red button, and if you press it once, the boiler will go into service mode, and it'll go into service mode on maximum for heating. So we've got that on high now. We can see on there we've got 8.9, and we've got CO, we've got 94 parts per million. So when we look in the installation instructions, we can see that that's okay. We can also press it again, and we can take it to minimum. We can look on front here. At the moment I've got it in It's got a fixed red light and it's got a flashing yellow light. So that's in maximum for domestic hot water. If I press it again, it'll go to, I press it again anyway. Now that should go to minimum now, so we should have a yellow blinking light and a green light on the front, which we have. And then on the readings on that, these instructions are a little bit fatty because you've got to go from one page to another rather than have all the stuff that you need in the same bit. In the installation instructions on minimum, now we're looking at 9.5 on here. So on minimum there, as we can see, we've got 9.5 CO2 and 19 parts per million on the CO. So I've printed them out now. So we've got that, we've printed it out. Now what I've done is I've moved those ports on here and I've put it into the air part of this. So now I'm going to put it back onto high, put it back into maximum. So that's got it on red fixed and yellow blinking. So that's hot water maximum. And then all we'll do then, we'll just check, make sure we've got no readings on here. And as you can see there's no readings on that at all, with no CO in there, no ratio, no CO2. So we would be happy with that. We'd be happy with that reading. We'd leave it for a while just to make sure. One thing I wanted just to point out is the importance of having your boiler serviced for one, but also making sure that the boiler is stripped down, because with this one I've heard cases where sometimes people don't even take the front case off on these and then they'll just test it with analyzer. Well, analyzer has passed, it's passed the test, but obviously the heat exchanger has started to crack and the heat exchanger needs to be replaced. So yeah, it's just important that we do these checks. If you've got any questions on this, please put them in comments below. I will do a separate video on these buttons and lights, and I'll lift front up and I'll do out lights. It's just a little bit awkward, this video is getting too long now. Another thing that we'd be doing on a service, we'd be taking out the condensate trap. We'd take out the condensate trap and we'd clean it. So we'd have washed the heat exchanger through, we'd let the muck go into here, and then we'd clean the condensate trap out. So a few more things that you'd be checking on the service, we'd be checking the flue. I've already said about the flue here and it's not sealed, but if we look outside here, if we just measure this with tape measure, we can see it's just less than 2 meters. So in theory that would need a terminal guard to be on there. So they could have done boiler slightly higher and then it wouldn't have needed a terminal guard. Also, we need to be checking anything that we've disturbed. So we've opened this test point here. So we would be using leak detector and we'd be spraying it on the test nipple, on the test point, making sure that's safe and not leaking. We've been making sure all those points are back in for this flue gas analyzer. Very important. You can easily leave them out, so it's important just to check that. And most of all, the most important thing of all is follow the installation instructions. Don't take anything I've said in this video as factual. It's how I interpret it. Things and different jobs bring up different scenarios, hence this one with heat exchanger. I did plan on fully stripping it down, washing it through, but obviously we weren't able to do that. So yeah, different things bring different scenarios. No controls on this as well. So if you were going to come to this for a customer, that might be something you'd advise maybe to update, put some controls on for them. Yeah, if you've got any questions, please ask them in the comments below. If there's all that I've missed off, again, please put it in comments below and I'll try and do another video. Or the AD Pro check. I tested the water. We have done a full video on the AD Pro check. It did pass for system cleanse. The system was clean, but there was not enough inhibitor in the system according to the AD Pro check. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.